True wealth. That's what the Lord wants for us. He wants us to strive for true wealth. This parable in the gospel is sometimes confusing. The rich man commends the dishonest steward for his resourcefulness. And the word that's used is prudence. I don't like that translation because prudence is one of the cardinal virtues. It's one of the primary virtues, and it's not a virtue to be dishonest for one's own good. So there are some other translations that use shrewd and wise. Wise is also a virtue. But I like resourcefulness. The dishonest steward is commended for his resourcefulness. That makes more sense to me. And he says the children of the world, the children of darkness, are more resourceful in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And that's what we're supposed to be, the children of light. They're more resourceful. I'll give you an example of that. Father Charlie, we would watch some television together, and he really was taken up with The Godfather. And why? Because he saw it as a parody of the Christian life, that those that were working for Vito Corleone, Michael Corleone, were so devoted to the family and to the activities of the family, albeit they're illegal and immoral, that they would give their lives for that. One example of that within the movies is Luca Brasi. He's what's called a mechanic. He's a hitman. He is somebody in the family that takes care of problems with extreme prejudice. And he went to this bar, I don't remember exactly the context, to take care of business. And the other side knew about it. Somebody leaked the information. So he's there at the bar, and he's got his hands on the bar, and the bar owner's got a cigarette burning, and he pats his hand, and then he nails his hand to the bar. I don't remember with what, if it was a knife or what, but Luca could not move. He couldn't get away from there. And then somebody suddenly behind him comes up with a piano wire and finishes him off. He is eliminated. And he gave his life for the sake of the Corleone family. This is an example of the reverse of the Christian life. Another example, many of you have seen, it's now back mid-'80s, that movie Wall Street. And if you haven't seen it, at least for the adults here, I would recommend it because there's a lot of moral values that are on display there, and a lot of the reverse is on display. So Bud Fox has a dad who is Martin Sheen, and he represents goodness, morals, doing things right, fatherly love. And then there's Gordon Gekko, who is also an image of the father, but completely reversed, doing things underhandedly for one's own gain. There's a scene, and you can certainly look this up on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Gordon Gekko, greed is good, and you will see this 2.5-minute clip of this speech that Gordon Gekko gives. He's a Wall Street tiger. He's a big-time millionaire. He's making money left and right. And as we journey through the movie, we find out that he uses unscrupulous ways to gain this wealth. And he's up before a board of directors for Teldar Paper, and Teldar Paper is leveraged, and he's going to acquire this company and turn it around. He's probably just going to sell it off piecemeal and make a lot of money. But the board of directors is up there, and he comes up there with the microphone, and he says, you either do this right or you get eliminated. And it seems to me that the corporate operation today in America is one of mediocrity. I'm paraphrasing. And he says, now I want to, for lack of a better word, I want to say something. Greed is good. He said, greed is right. Greed works. It cuts through the heart of everything. It gets to what truly matters the most. Greed is good. He speaks to those children of the darkness who want to make money no matter what it takes, no matter how, I use this word, how much they divest themselves of their dignity and their values to make money. This is what he's appealing to, saying greed is good. No, it's one of the 7 deadly sins. This sin could be what causes you to lose eternal salvation. We are children of the light, and we need to seek true wealth. Now, is it wrong to work for a company that makes money? No. If they're doing so legitimately. There have been people in the past that have come to me and come to other priests, and they're saying, maybe it's somebody like an accountant, and they're like, well, I work for this corporation, and they're not doing well, so I adjust the books. Can I do that? No. You may never do evil, that good may come out of it. So we have this true wealth on display, and we have dishonest wealth on the display. In the first reading, we have an example of what we might call dishonest, disordered wealth. So they say, hurry up and get past these feast days in our religion so we can get back to the buying and selling of things, right? In Judaism, right, you have the Sabbath, and you can't do anything on those days with regard to buying and selling. And then they had their feast days, and they're to be strictly observed. And these folks are chomping at the bit to get back to sales. And, and so they push in order to get back to making those shekels. And they talk about cheating. They say, we'll diminish the ephah, which is a measurement of quantity. We'll diminish that. And then we'll add to the shekel. We'll say, hey, for this ephah, which is now not quite an ephah, it's less, we're going to charge you a few more shekels. I don't know if you've noticed the gas pumps in Arizona. You look, there's a little sign that says when they were checked by the government to see if it was actually putting out a gallon when it says 1 gallon. So the government's trying to see that you're not being cheated by getting half a gallon and spending $4.50 a gallon. When I was in Chicago just a few weeks ago near O'Hare Airport, it was $5.60 a gallon. And if you look at the weights and the scales in the grocery stores for your produce, those are also checked by the government too and have a stamp of the last time they were checked, because they know that there are people, and there's also reason, there could be something wrong with the scale and nobody knows about it and needs to be fixed, but there are people, unscrupulous people, who will rip you off and say, I've given you 1.5 pounds when you got 1 pound, and they charge you for that, maybe add another shekel onto that. And there are those who manipulate the poor, it says, with silver and with money, or with clothing, with shoes. They'll buy the poor. Now, it's true that the poor are manipulated. I've watched many documentaries on the Vietnam War. Now, I don't know if this is true. Maybe some of you have more information than I do. But there was a mindset at that time that we were sending the poor to go fight in Vietnam while those who had more means stayed here. And I was talking with someone the other day, and they said, well, I had I don't remember if it was called a diversion, but I was going to college, and I could put off, if I got drafted, I could put off my military service. That happened too. So, anyway, there are examples all over the world of the poor being manipulated and cheated and ripped off. True wealth, That's what we need to seek, because we are children of the light. If any of this seems familiar, there needs to be corrections. Like sometimes we're working for a company, and the confessor hears this sometimes from the penitent. They say, well, I didn't give an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. I spent part of the day playing around on the computer with YouTube or video games or Facebook when I should have been working. These kinds of things. No. True wealth is sacramental life. True wealth, the sacramental marriage, and doing what it takes to maintain and grow in that marriage. Being truly and actively present, consciously present when we celebrate the sacred liturgy. That's true wealth. To not cheat even when it is easy to do so. I've been around parish ministry for now 16 years, and I know of 2 parishes, not this one, where there were people that knew how to cheat the system and steal from the church. I can't imagine what it's like to go to your exit interview when this life is ended, and you stand before God completely open, and he says to you, let me show you this video. This is you taking money out of the collection box. You're taking from the church. You're taking from the church's ministry, and some of that ministry is to the poor and to the needy. What do you have to say for yourself? You will be reduced to silence. I know 2 parishes where thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars were stolen. And because somebody knew that there was a hole in the system, as much as we try to make things on the up and up, transparent and so forth, there are always those that can see the hole in the system. And it's the same in the workplace. I mean, even what I do, right? So when I purchase something for the rectory, food or something else, I'm to turn in a receipt and say what it's for and put my initials on it, right? And I buy it with my own credit card. Say I buy something from Amazon, very easy to make returns to Amazon. I turn that receipt in, I get reimbursed, and then I take that item and I send it back to Amazon, and they restore that money to my credit card, and I don't make any mention of that to the finance director at the parish. You can find holes in these kinds of things. Don't do those things. Resist those temptations. Even when we're financially strapped, we have to do what's right. And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, why am I financially strapped? Am I looking at my spending in a serious fashion? Do I look at the ways in which I can earn income that might take me out of a situation that is precarious? Those are the things we need to be concerned with. Another example of true wealth, I think this is very, very important. To be in solidarity with the poor. To be in solidarity with the poor. Rather than extort them, to lift them up, to help them. There are many ways to do that. Here next month, we're going to have this program called Unbound come on Thanksgiving Day weekend, and they'll set up in the narthex, and they'll have all these pictures of children in different places in Latin America, some places in Southeast Asia and India, that you can adopt, you can sponsor these children so they can get an education, they can get nutrition, they can get medical care as they go through those formative years of grade school and high school, that they have the chance for a better life than they would have otherwise had. That's one way to do it. Supporting St. Vincent de Paul, supporting Paz de Cristo, the list goes on and on and on, and it varies as much as we are varied as human beings. But to be in solidarity with the poor. I had a spiritual director who was he was a spiritual director and a professor at Mundelein Seminary, good man. And he would say, you are not living the Christian life if you've made no provision for the poor. You are not living the Christian life if you have no spirit, if you have no acts of asceticism. So these are things that lead to true wealth. Friends, let us strive for that true wealth. And the stuff that doesn't heal, the stuff that doesn't grow, the stuff that doesn't benefit anyone but ourselves, let us leave that behind.